I think you already covered what I was going to ask on what we can do to help fight against this.
Okay. Ron?
Where does ICLEI funding come from? Who's funding it?
All of those non-government organizations and the federal government.
Where their funding comes from?
Here are just some of the funding sources.
Is that on the pamphlets?
No, it's not, but it can be on our website tomorrow.
Yeah, well, and that was going to be my next question, is I've studied Agenda 21, and you came up with things that totally shocked me. And yet I thought I was fairly well up on the UN Agenda 21. So please put that on the website.
So, is there any good news?
This has been since 1997?
Pardon?
1997 is when they first initiated this?
92.
92.
Real soon.
The 92 Rio Earth Summit.
This evolves into weapons as well, the UN, under the auspices of this Agenda 21. The UN trying to control weapons within the United States, the ownership of handguns and everything else. Hillary is up there right now. There's a bill, wherever they call it in the House, or in the UN up there, trying to put weapon ownership within the United States under UN control. And once they obtain that, then it's step by step by step, and ownership of land and so on and so forth. But that stuff's going on behind the scenes.
Well, it will be a total surveillance society. If we let it happen, it will be. Yes.
Was the recently deposed mayor of Miami a cool mayor?
I don't know. I don't know. I think I forgot to say, though, there are 77 cool mayors in Florida. In Florida alone.
Any local?
No. That was another thing. We have no ICLEI cities in Northwest Florida. But that doesn't mean that sustainable development is not going on, because there were the other organizations these other organizations. ICLEI is the only one that comes directly from the UN. That's what makes it so bad and makes it stand out so much. But the rest of these organizations are implementing this, and they use some of the same tactics. And so it is going on in Northwest Florida. We don't have an ICLEI city west of Tallahassee. All of Leon County is under ICLEI control.
How involved is local planning zoning?
Well, the West Florida Regional Planning Council is one of 11 regional councils. And part of its funding comes from the Department of Community Affairs. Now, Don Gates was going to see about having the Department of Community Affairs defrocked. And I had a conversation with Matt Gates, who got me that figure about the funding. And he said that if the Department of Community Affairs goes away, that it could completely defund the West Florida Planning Council, or it could make it stronger. So I don't know about that. But it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
In the conference call tonight, he did say that that would put it back in the local purview instead of at the state level. So it'd be up to us to fight or join the planning, zoning, and other organizations, depending on what stand they have.
Well, they want to get in at the very local level, and this local level reports to the next level up and the next level up, and I found out that that type of organization is called a Soviet. We didn't know what I didn't know what the Soviet Union meant, but that's exactly the way they did it. So,
I guess you ought to watch Fort Walton Beach then, because aren't they Sharia compliant in banking or something?
Yeah.
that's Carmen's.
I think
That's step one. If they're that, on that side with the Sharia business, this falls right in that.
Right in their category, then.
Absolutely.
Well, they're not concerned on that side. They refuse to investigate it.
Right.
I thought they had money invested.
Well, they refuse to
I think they're
investigate
Oh,
or see.
yeah. They're ignorant.
Okay.
Maybe we need to call our city council.
I'll call them. I
Done.
don't live down here. but-
Well, I don't either.
You were talking about the Department of Education in your talk there a little bit, and I attended the League of Women Voters get-together this past weekend. And it's very interesting and scary what's going on in our schools. There was a panel of 5 individuals up there, and they were asked canned questions. One of the individuals, one of the teachers, was a art teacher. And I was listening very closely for subliminal messages going on in there. One of them I caught from her was, as we move toward a new social world order. That was her words. Exact words. I said, oh my. That's scary.
Wish we want you to stop.
And then I asked,
Yeah.
I was the first one to ask a question afterwards. And I asked the panel, what would happen if we got rid of the, there's a lot of talk about funding and things like that. And I said, well, there's 2 areas. What if we got rid of the Department of Education and took that money, turned it back to the schools and did proper education type of things, and also how about distributing the Florida lottery? And someone behind me popped up. I'm with the Florida Department of Education. I didn't answer the question. I said, I did not ask you that question. I could have used your butt down there. I was the only Tea Partier there. But I fought. It's scary what they're trying to do, and there was people leering it.
You were elected as school
I got
board
the doctor
member this last
that is
go
scary.
around.
Came from a
It's,
principal at
Step
Akron,
one.
pushing their agenda.
Another question.
Tony?
You know, I
Up on all that.
I know about certain things that go on. I mean, I'm not the most informed person. I know a lot of you folks here are a little older than I am, but it just seems to me these days, every which way the civilian aspect of this nation turns, more and more these large corporations and these people that are donating all this money and the grabbers in the Washington legislature and everything else. I'm not talking about everybody, but there's a huge part of it that just seems that they're after nailing the citizen for everything that they can get and basically taking everything away from them to gain control over everything. And I mean, when you talk about us as individuals, I mean, we're all working together doing stuff. We have been for a few years now, but I mean, a couple of years, but in beyond that, before that, but I mean, really kind of makes you wonder what you can do when you keep getting constantly bombarded by all this stuff out of Washington and stuff like this being, turned over, mulled over, and basically us getting, a little deeper educated on it. And like Gene's stuff with the immigration that everybody knows there's a problem with. And I mean, everything is so compounded. It's just heaping up. You know what I mean? It's almost it's a scary thought to think that you might not have a choice. You know what I mean? They're trying to take that away from us. So I don't know. It's just a scary thing.
The scariest thing is that the people in this room are far more informed than 95% of the population.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
It doesn't affect me.
Well, I'm a little disappointed. I copied the brochure and I handed out approximately 50 copies to people and talked to them a little bit, people that I had previously talked to about Agenda 21, Law of the Sea Treaty, etc. and I handed out probably 50, of which nobody is here tonight.
Nobody?
I'm shocked
care.
that nobody cares.
Yeah.
Well, the information that I brought is something different than what you had.
But it's still the whole idea of Agenda 21, that people aren't caring what happens.
I
They
know.
don't think it
They
can
don't
happen
think
to
it
them.
can.
No. In fact, I have more than one person said, you don't have any faith in your country. And no, I don't have any faith in our Congress and Senate anymore. It's very few people that are really working to save this country, and I don't understand why we can't wake the rest of the population up, especially a lot of the younger people. I know they're busy, but
Well, because they have had this globalist agenda taught
Program from day one.
For a long
since the
time.
beginning.
Sure.
Now, the good news is that you can hardly go anywhere that you mention big government, taxation, politicians and whatnot. Almost all the people standing around you will agree with you. They are engaged from that standpoint. They may not know the fine points of it. They don't know Agenda 21. They don't know how much control the government has, but they're becoming aware of it. I was standing in a little food pickup yesterday. Fox was on the television, and two other gentlemen and I had a conversation about it. And I didn't even bring it up. Those two were already started, this is scary, and, we had this conversation there. 2 years ago, you would have not had that conversation there. 2 years ago, Fox News wouldn't have been on the television. So we are making progress. And just the fact that we as a Tea Party are involved in Tallahassee is a good thing. The fact that instead of standing outside looking in and holding a rally out there, we're sitting on the inside with our own room now. And we didn't dress up in the suits with the perfect hair like the lobbyists. And they can tell who's a lobbyist and who's a Tea Partier.
You betcha.
We just need to keep on doing what we're doing and more, I guess.
Exactly.
Just keep going.
Show up down there with the American Prosperity when they go. Show up the next morning at the Tea Party meeting in Tallahassee. Was it 19th and 20th, I believe?
29.
Huh?
29?
No, I think it's the 19th and 20th. I think the American Prosperity will be there.
No, it's at the end of the month.
Is it the end of the month?
Yeah. Yeah,
29th and 30th.
29.
Yeah.
Okay, 29th and 30th. There's a meeting of Tea Party people down there at 7:30 in the morning on the 20th. That was set